Learn while loops in JavaScript. We will begin with a basic example. I have written a while loop, and right now in the console we might see numbers from 1 to 9. Now let's reproduce that output by hand. I will comment out our previous while loop. Right now we have a clear console. I start from the same variable number, then I console.log this value and increase it by 1. Then I will just copy and paste last 2 lines. Right now you see that we have 1 and 2, and I might just continue to copy and paste them until I reach number 9. Now we have the program that does absolutely the same thing as our while loop, but you see how simpler is this code that contains just 5 lines comparing to this code that contains 19 lines. Once you find yourself copying and pasting the same part of the code, you can use while loop to avoid repetitions. I want to demonstrate you one problem you might encounter in the future. If I will save this file, you will see that my console will be bombed with messages, and in this case I will just close the page. So I save the file. We see a lot of messages. Okay, and I closed my page. Then I need to add a keyword break and connect to my browser again. We see that we have only one number, so this condition that we had calls an infinite loop. I have demonstrated this problem because at the first time it might be very scary, and right now you know that you need to close the page or you might close the browser. If your computer doesn't respond, you might turn off the computer. But generally, you can just close the page, it will be enough. Let's break the while loop down and compare it to if statements. I comment out this while loop, and now we can see the messages only from the if statement. What does the if statement do? If this condition is true, it goes inside of our curly braces, so this part calls body, and it executes our body. Then it goes to the next section, and this is the reason why if this condition is true, we have the message, and then we have the message about the next section. Now let's compare it to the while loop. While loop has another keyword. Instead of if, we write while. Then it has absolutely the same condition in the parentheses, and this condition also might be true or false. If this condition is true, it goes inside of our body, executes this code, and then check the condition again. And if this condition is still true, it will execute our body again. To better understand the difference between while loop and if statements, let's look at this diagram. If the condition of if statement or while loop is false, they behave in the same way. They just skip the body and go to the next section. I might write 100 right here, and the same I will do with while loop. Right now the condition inside of our if statement equals to false, and the same condition we have inside of our while loop. If I save the file, we'll see just messages about the next section. So while loop block section and if statement block section have been skipped. This is what I mean when I say that they skip the body. If the condition inside of the while loop or if statement is true, the first step is the same. They execute the code inside of the body, but then they behave in a different way. If statement just go to the next section, but while loop check the condition again, and if this statement is true, it returns back and start the loop again. And we might exit the body, exit the while loop only if the condition equals to false. In this example, if I change back the score to 0 and save the file, we see that 0 is less than 10, so this condition is true. Then it executes the body where it increases the score by 1 and show it in the console. Then it will go back to check the condition. So right now our score equals to 1. 1 is again less than 10, so this condition is again true. It will go again to execute this code, and at the point when score is equal to 10, this condition will be false and our while loop will be skipped, and we will go to the code section immediately. Here is another example. I will start from the keyword let and write a variable for string. And let's assign an empty string. So this is our variable, and right now let's write a while loop. I start from the keyword while, then I put parentheses, And inside of the parenthesis, I should write the condition, the same as in if statements. I might write that string.length is less than 5. Then I must put curly braces. And right now I might write some body, but our body must influence the condition because otherwise we'll have an infinite loop. So first thing that we should change is actually string length. Right now it's equal to 0 because we don't have any characters. Let's add new characters to our string. For example, we might add a letter to our string, and let's also console.log the value. Now, if I save the file, we see that we have a that increases to 5a in a row. So our loop works correctly. We might add if statements inside of our while loop. So let's write something like if string.length is more than 3, we will assign another letter to the string. So now I might save the file and we'll see another messages. And now I might play with that. For example, change the length to 10 and we will see interesting messages in the console. So you might play with that to better understand how while loop works. I will give you a code challenge. Try to solve it by your own. In the code challenge, you will have two variables, word and speed. The initial value of word is equal to an empty string, and the initial value of speed is equal to 0. If our word's length is less than 4, you should add a letter to the word. And if the word's length is more or equal to 4, you should increase the speed by 2. And all this part should be inside of the while loop, and you should exit the while loop if the speed is more than 5. So, and then you should write the message that all cycles have finished. Pause the video if you want to solve it by your own, but right now let's solve it together. I should start from the two variables, word and speed. So I will write let word equal to an empty string. And also I will write let speed equal to 0. Then I should start a while loop. So I will start from the keyword while. Then I have parentheses, and inside of the parentheses I should write the condition when we should execute our body in the loop. In our case, we see a message that if our speed is more than 5, we should finish the loop. So it means that if our speed is less or equal to 5, we should execute the body of our loop. I wrote that speed is less or equal to 5 and then goes curly braces. And inside of the curly braces, we write our body. So we have two different conditions. If our word length is less than 4, add a letter to a word. Let's write an if statement where the condition is word length is less than 4. And we should add a letter to the word. So let's write word equal word plus a. And then we have the second if statement that if word length is more or equal to 4, increase the speed by 2. I might write a new if statement, and then I might increase the speed by 2 inside of this if statement. But you also might notice that we can simplify it because we have two opposite conditions. Our first condition is word length is less than 4, and our opposite condition is word length is more or equal to 4. So instead of the second if statement, I might write else statement. And here I will have the same body that speed is equal speed plus 2. If it's easier for you to write two different if statements, it's totally fine, and you might solve this code challenge by two different if statements. If you understand why these conditions might be simplified with if-else statement, you might solve it with if-else statement. And before I save the file, let's have a look that inside of our body, we have a statement that influences our condition. In this case, we have speed that might be increased by 2. And if we'll increase it 3 times, we'll have a number of 6 that is more than 5. So this statement will be false and we'll go out of our while loop. When we exit our while loop, we should write a message that all cycles have finished. Let's write this message. And right now let's save the file and see how it works in the console. I saved the file and I see that I haven't consoled our values, so we don't have any changes. So let's add to console logs. In our first if statement, I will console.log our word, and in our else statement, I will console.log the speed. Right now, if I save the file, we see that our loop works as expected. We add a letter A to the word, then console this word, so we have A. Then we start again. Our word length is still less than 4, so we add a new letter A, and we continue to do it until our word length is equal to 4. And then we'll start to execute the else statement where we increase our speed by 2 and console it. We started from 0, then we sum 2 and our speed variable has the value of 2. We console this, then we do it again, we have number 4, then we do it again, we have number 6, and when our speed is equal to 6, our while condition is equals to false because our speed is not less or equal to 5. And we have the final message that all cycles have finished. In the next video, we'll modify our buckshot roulette game project and we will start writing a new game project to master if statements and while loops.